Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Coffee and Football, presented by Rick Favreau and Austin Underground. I'm your host, Blake Monroe, where I'm joined each and every day by Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton. Tell us where you're checking in from, what you're drinking, get your questions in. We also have a special guest joining us here pretty quickly, actually, Scott Surratt, head coach of Carthage. So that's going to be a good one for sure. Also, we're going to talk about a little more in depth here in a little bit, but got to hand it to the Texas basketball team. 8 wins in a row now over Oklahoma. That's huge. Like I said, we'll get in that here in just a little bit. But
look, hold on. We got to give them credit. They listened to the show. They took their joy mode. It just ran out with 6 minutes to go. And then they had to hold on for dear life.
About 10 minutes to go.
With 9 minutes. Yeah. We'll talk about that later, but congrats. First SEC win for Texas. The last 2 games have been must-win games. I mean, you got to get this 7-11, 8-10 to make the tournament in a very tough league, but we'll talk about it all later. But big wins over Oklahoma are always a hat tip here.
Yep, for sure.
Well, in Norman, by the way, in Norman.
Yeah. Yep, definitely. Well, the big news yesterday, guys, of course, I guess the Quinn Ewers officially departing for the NFL. We've been saying it on here for a while now, but he made it official yesterday, and that means the Arch Manning era at Texas officially begins. Curious to get y'all's thoughts on that.
I think congratulations to Quinn, first and foremost. Great career as a Longhorn. I really believe that he had a career that was not well defined in some respects by the populace, if that makes sense. He was some people loved him, some people didn't. Some people thought Texas could do better, etc. And then the Arizona State game happened. And in the overtime, in the fourth quarter, in overtime, both of them, Quinn Ewers led Texas to a win in that game. No questions asked. Had him in field goal position twice without a run game, without any sort of run game. Field goal position twice to win or go ahead in that game. The field goal guy let him down. Number 2, then he goes into first overtime, throws a dot on 4th and 13, checks into the right progression. Second overtime, touchdown to Gunnar Helm, 2-point conversion to Matthew Golden. Texas goes into the national semifinals for the second consecutive year. I think that series of plays in that game kind of cemented what he meant and his legacy to the Longhorns. I feel like it's a good way to go out. But now to Blake's point, we usher in a new era. And, I've been thinking about this a long time. I know Jerry has as well. What does it mean for Texas now? And what Texas is going to look like next year with a different quarterback who has different strengths, by the way. Arch Manning, more of a downfield thrower, has more ability to evade the rush and run. Is younger also as far as knowledge base. I mean, he hasn't seen it all like Quinn Ewers has now. So how does that change Texas going forward? I don't know. But I will say this, the overriding factor is that if you want to sustain good programs, you need to sustain good quarterbacks. If you can keep your quarterback room going in the right direction, you always have a chance. And Steve Sarkisian has done that. And he's not only done it, he's done it with Arch Manning. So it's quite amazing, in my opinion.
Well, one of the things I've been thinking about, and look, I'm actually going to ask Coach Surratt, because he's seen these guys and kind of how will teams defend them differently in his opinion, because they're different players. We've talked about with Arch. Will the linebackers have that extra? They may not have that extra step, the depth all the time in pass coverage, because Arch is more of a run threat. 5 or 6 yards can move the chains. And that really wasn't the same. It's a different run threat. How will the safeties play Texas? Because Sark wants to throw it deep and Arch wants to throw it deep. And now, because Arch is one of his strengths is a deep ball thrower, how are the safeties going to play Texas? So it's going to be different looks. And we can get into all that. We have a lot of time. But my thought is, when Arch signed with Texas, one of my thoughts was it was probably going to be as much pressure ever on a player that signed with Texas. And the media attention, the things written from here on out, because now you're past the should he transfer? Is he going to transfer? All that BS that was all nothing. But now it's going to be, already a Heisman favorite, which is just, that's dumb, right? Let's be real. But that's what's going to come with this. It is going to be a true fishbowl Arch Manning has to live in and play in. And it's going to be a true fishbowl for this Texas program and football team, because there's going to be all eyes on them even more than before, Bobby. It's going to be a different media pressure and just a different level of media attention than anything Texas has ever dealt with, period, in athletics. And it's going to be crazy to watch. We're here for it, but it's going to be different than anything we've ever dealt with before covering Texas.
You combine in the Manning name, which is the first name in quarterbacks, basically, with the University of Texas, which is, if it's not it's one of the 2 or 3 most renowned college sports programs, or most well-known college sports programs in the country. I think that he may be uniquely qualified to handle it. Yeah. He's been in the spotlight, even though he's been a young person for a long period of time. He understands it. So he's seen his relatives go through it and handle it. I think they've counseled him on that. And so I think that he's in really good shape to handle it. I really, really do believe that. Of course, he has to perform on the field. And I think that's one thing that will always shut people up, right? If you go out there and have a good season and play well, the critics are going to be silent. And so those are the things that he can control, that I think he understands, Jerry and Blake. Control what you can, let the rest of it roll off your back.
Yeah, and so Buck Travis asked, what were the expectations for Chris Sims? Well, it was pre-social media, and it would have been wild with social media and with Sims, but not even the level of the Manning family. I mean, it's just different, because now you're going to you will have Peyton and Eli at games, right? There's just a lot more that's going to come with this from a university perspective, from a media coverage perspective. I mean, remember, obviously Peyton and Eli, and I think they'll stay away to take as much as they can to take some of that pressure off of Arch from a media standpoint, but they'll also come support Arch as well. But it's going to be crazy. It's going to be like nothing we maybe have ever seen in college athletics before, because of where we're at with social media and media and the 24-hour news cycles. And I think it's going to be quite wild. It'll be the most covered spring practice at Texas in history. I'll say that.
Ooh.
And spring game.
Yeah.
For Texas. I mean, I'm talking University of Texas easily.
All right, Bobby, before we move on to our next subject, will you let everyone out there know about Austin Underground?
Yeah, absolutely. Since 2004, our friend Rick Vavro and his team at Austin Underground have specialized in difficult underground commercial installations. The team's engineering background gives Austin Underground the ability to perform work other firms often consider too risky. Rick and his team offer an end-to-end client experience, including seamless communication, budgeting, staffing, and top-notch trade partners. And most importantly, they produce solid quality work each and every time. That's Austin Underground. I also want to mention, if you're out in Jonestown, Texas, and you need a watering hole to go attend to today, check out the Lone Star Bar. Rick and his group have rekindled that bar and now own it, and love being out there at the foot of the lake. So Lone Star Bar out in Jonestown as well. Rick wanted me to invite everybody out there.
Thank you, Bobby. And Jerry looks like our special guest is here. I'm going to bring him in, but let you do the introduction.
Yeah, I've been to Carthage many times over there. I actually met Coach Surratt at Texas High way back in the day when he had when they won state, and he had a bunch of players coming through that Mac Brown was recruiting, was the offensive coordinator. Coach, 10 state championships rings. We got to throw the picture up in a second, the Lord of the Rings, to have some fun with it. But thanks for joining Coffee and Football this morning.
Oh, yeah, it's my pleasure, man. Jerry, but you and I have been great friends for a while, and I've read a million things on Bobby. Blake, I'm not sure, but I'm glad to join you guys this morning.
I feel like we're speaking to royalty here.
Man, I'm just very blessed to be a part of a great program, and I got my best friend in the world as a defensive coordinator, and then obviously my son, coaching my son, my wife's my athletic secretary, so they don't get any better than this.
That's a family affair, it sounds like. Hey, Coach, take us through. Each team is different. I hear coaches say that all the time, and different sets of players. But what are the things that you try to thematically keep the same through all of your state championships? If that makes sense.
Schematically, we want to be physical, and we're going to run the ball, especially in big games, and that's not going to change. And we're going to get after you on defense. We're going to blitz you and be very physical up front and show you a lot of looks, both offensively and defensively. That's going to change. Now, personnel changes every year, obviously, and we got to use the spring to see what we can do with the personnel. But those things are not going to change.
Hey, Coach, I wanted to ask you this. I wanted to take you back to kind of when you took the Carthage job. From my standpoint, covering recruiting, I'm sure Bobby was the same. A lot of talent that came through that school, but they had kind of struggled at times winning at the level that people thought they should have. When you got there, what was the whole key to building it and getting the belief?
Yeah, and I was the third coach in 4 years, and so they were hearing pretty much probably the same things that I was telling them. But our first mantra was trust, and we had to get those guys to trust me, then trust our staff. And I was very lucky they let me held everybody's contract. They let me bring my own staff. And so we had to get those guys to trust and see their eyes every day and be consistent in what we were doing. And I've been very fortunate to keep my coaches, most of them since 15, and just very blessed.
So we got to ask you. I got to ask you real quick about a 26 guy. Because people in the chat have already been asking. KJ Edwards, a guy that, and you have the linebackers. You can go into that, but KJ Edwards, people saw all the big runs in the playoff, state championship. Obviously, he's going to go visit Texas on the 25th for their junior day. Kind of talk about KJ. Obviously, his little brother's a really good player too. Talk about KJ, what you see out of KJ, because you've had some good ones. Keontae Ingram, you've coached against a lot of great ones as well in East Texas. Kind of your thoughts on KJ.
Yeah, KJ, first of all, and I know a lot of people say this, but he is a phenomenal young man. I mean, he's got his priorities right. He's phenomenal in the classroom, and but for his athletic ability, he's electric. He can run. His jump step is second to none, and that's where he's going to make a difference. And his protection is getting better every day, but he's really good. And I like this. And then, but you see right there with the spin breaking. I taught him that, Jerry, and that spin there and running through people. You just saw me in high school. That's kind of look like me right there. But,
hey, well, I got to see the old Linden. I got to see the old LK huddle to believe that one, Coach.
Now let's don't find the 16 millimeter and pop it up for everybody. Now I can just lie about it, but. No, he's just a phenomenal player, phenomenal human, getting better every day in the passing game. And you'll see us split him out more this year. We did a little bit this this past year, but we're going to do a lot more this year. And he's just dynamic, but more than everything, extremely smart football player and as easy as any player I've ever coached, and that makes him special.
We're watching him run, but it's got to be fun watching your son be the team's quarterback right now. What's it like for a guy like you that's put so much into coaching in his livelihood to have their own son, an opportunity there to work with him?
All right, it's awesome, man. It's the funnest time I've ever had in 35 years of coaching, except probably when I wake up on Friday morning and the nerves hit, and then all day long it's a long day. But then when the ball snaps, it becomes fun again, and until he throws an interception or something. But no, he's a phenomenal leader. He's the best leader I think you could ask our coaches that I've ever been around, and he's just been around his whole life, and he's dealt with a lot of injuries, but he's just going to play through them, and he needs surgery, but we're not going to do that, and we're just going to keep rolling and having fun and hit the golf ball in the spring and play football in the fall.
That's what I hear. He's going to be a golfer. Jerry sent me some workout photos of Jet. His name's Jet Surratt. Sent me some workout photos of him hitting a golf ball like 200 miles an hour off the tee or something crazy like that. What was is that his sport of choice?
Well, it was 50-50, going into his freshman year. He throw the ball out there 55 yards, and and honestly, he's got a shoulder issue right now, and if we got it fixed, he would, may do that. But he does hit it. He can hit it over 200 miles an hour, and that's professionally done. That's not me doing it, and that's on track, man. So when you hit over 200 miles an hour, you're one of the top in the country as a teenager doing it. And so I think that's kind of what he wants to do. He said the good Lord, with his shoulder injury, he thinks pointed him that direction. So it's hard in that sport, and just like any sport nowadays. But we're excited about this spring and his last year of football. Hopefully we can do it again, and if we don't, the pressure's off right now. We want it with him, and we're going to have fun.
Hey, Coach, I want to take you back to Texas High, because we have obviously thousands of people that come through our chats, and when we start talking about certain positions, certain players in Texas high school history, and when everybody asks who had the strongest arm we've ever seen, you coach that guy, the late Ryan Mallett. Coach, I mean, you've never seen an arm stronger than this guy, right? I mean, for those that never saw Ryan throw a football, now what did they miss?
Well, they missed a guy that it just exploded out of his hand. I can tell you so many stories, but he could throw it, push it out there around 90 and yards, and that's no lie. It was unbelievable. And I know when Greg Davis come watched him when he was at Texas, and he said, "How far can he throw it, Scott?" And I said, "Well, how far you want him to throw it, Coach?" And so we had a guy that played in the league a little bit, and Nathan Jones, so he was at Texas and started at Texas for 4 years. And anyway, I said, "Nate, run a post," and we was like shooting skeet. And I said, "Ryan, don't you pull it until I holler pull." And so anyway, he held it, and then I said pull, and he threw that thing out there, 85 yards, whatever it was. And old Greg looked at me and he goes, he threw that thing over 80 yards. And I go, "Yes, sir, he threw it over 80 yards." And then the Elite 11 story was when he threw it 88 with Matthew Stafford. He was a junior when Matthew Stafford was a senior in the Elite 11, and Stafford won the Top Gun whatever for the biggest arm. He threw it 73, but Mallett could compete in it but couldn't win in it because they were called the Ball Boys. They only brought two back then, and Mallett threw it at 88, and so he was. But man, he was really good. I mean, he obviously playing in the league 7 years, and he had his life together and about to get married, and then and I'm like a father to him. I mean, I loved his daddy and everything, and he loved his daddy, but man, I was a second father, and got the opportunity to speak at his funeral, and but yeah, there's no better arm than that one. Tom Brady even said that. He said, "If there's a better arm, I've never seen it." So
yeah, I know I haven't. Hey, Coach, you mentioned Nate Jones. Nathan Vasher came through Texas High. You saw a lot of guys that went. You guys were part of. Those kids were winners at Texas High. A couple of those guys won state championship there in 2002. And then they went on to Texas and did great things. What are traits? Are there traits you see in some kids that are different than others as far as being able to understand the talent maximization part of this and what it truly takes to go do that?
Yeah. You talking about player-wise, Nathan Vasher, Nathan Jones, phenomenal kids, number one, and I mean, great players, and but phenomenal kids, and they had a vision. Their vision was crazy, and the ones that are special have a phenomenal vision. Where you're talking about coaches, players, or whatnot, You know, you got to have great work ethic. You know, we're talking about Deion Sanders. I had the opportunity to watch him practice one time at the Cowboys. You didn't outwork Deion Sanders. And I heard the same thing about Jerry Rice and those guys and Tom Brady. But, you know, Deion was talking the whole time, but he was practicing unbelievably hard the whole time too. And, but, you know, that's the same kind, Nathan Basher and Nate Jones and the players we've had here, Keontae Ingram, you know, you don't outwork them. And that's what makes them special.
I've got to ask you, you mentioned vision. Do you mean on-field vision or their vision for their own future?
Vision for their own future. Yeah, you got to have on-field vision too to be a great player. I don't care. That's all we talk about every day, honestly, is eyes in every position. But I was talking about their vision, their own vision, you know, to achieve their goals and things like that.
Who and what they want to become. I gotta ask you this, because we have a lot of this is a statewide, nationwide, worldwide show because it's on the web, right, Coach? But you're in a pocket of Texas called East Texas that a lot of coaches like to call Beast Texas. What's it like being? It's almost like a little bit of a cult over there now with the coaches, because y'all are so dang good and win so many state championships throughout the whole area. Y'all. Tell folks how proud you guys are over there in that East Texas region of the football y'all produce. Because it's fun because I go to Dallas and Houston and West Texas and everybody all around, right? But East Texas has a little something special going on.
Yeah, we do. You know, we feel like we're family over here. And what gets overlooked, you know, because we're not in the Metroplex and you know, Houston area, whatever. And but it gets overlooked how good the coaches are around here. And we go against the best coaches, in my opinion, around, especially our division. You know, there's no better football in Texas than in 4A and in East Texas. You know, D1, D2, whatever. And you kind of see that every year. We're going to be battling for not only us, other division, Kilgore, Chapel Hill, you know, just a lot of good teams right here and a lot of great coaches. But, man, I couldn't be more. And that's where I grew up. So, you know, I grew up at LK, and we're struggling there. But it's about an hour from here. My mom still lives there. So I'm an East Texan, and I love it.
Hey, Coach, I wanted to ask you this. I got to put you on the spot on two things. Who's the best player you've ever coached? And who is the best player you've ever seen in East Texas?
Ooh. Let me answer that first one. I mean, that second one first. You know, personally, the best one I've ever seen was, you know, Adrian Peterson.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. And now, you know, because obviously I didn't see Earl. I did see Billy Sims growing up. He was in our district, and he's about 10, 12 years older than me. But I was at games, and I watched us beat him, and he only lost one, and we lost a flip. It was a 3-team. All three of us won district, and we lost a flip, and they were the only one that went. But, you know, best player, you know, here, and I can name so many names. I'm not, you know, you got to go with Dwight Smith, Keontae Ingram. Edward Pope was a 4-year starter here. Mario McCain played more games here. People, you know, that's a name you may not know. He's started defensive tackle and offensive tackle for us. He played 62 games. That was possible. We could have played 64, but he played 62.
Wow.
You know, and then, you know, KJ, you know, those guys, and have some great quarterbacks here. I mean, it's just a lot of great players, but it's hard. I don't like to compare those. I don't like to compare teams. I can tell you at Texas High who they were because I don't work there anymore.
Hey, so we got to ask you this, because you're one of the best offensive coaches the state's ever produced on the high school level. What are your thoughts on Steve Sarkisian offensively, what he does, what you've seen from Sark at Texas?
Sark's the best, man. I mean, the way he game plans and, man, his scripts are unbelievable. He's known for, you know, when he comes out with a 14, 15 play script, and it's just phenomenal. And you'll see it, you know, if he studies you and you give him those first 14, 15, he's phenomenal. And they just didn't get it done the other day, but, you know, he's going to. I really believe that. And, you know, we're pulling for him, and I'm a Horn. So I think he's great. And they're going to continue to get the better players. This is Texas. He knows it. We can win this thing, and he's going to do it. And we got the right guy there.
So last thing I have for you, Coach. So going from Quinn to Arch, and you talked about it, you've won state with several different types of quarterbacks, different strengths, right? As a players, you know, do you? I don't know if you've seen enough Arch because you're out there winning state titles, but you know, from what you've seen of him, what will be the differences in maybe the Texas offense from your vantage point, Quinn to Arch, because they are different players, obviously.
Yeah, obviously it doesn't take, you know, a genius to look at Arch. Is multi-talented. He's going to be able to use his legs a lot, but I think he's going to be I didn't see him much, but when he's in the game, he's a really good deep ball thrower. And, you know, Quinn was a great player, obviously, but we struggled a little bit on the deep balls. And not knocking him, I don't know what happened, but I think that Arch is a phenomenal deep ball thrower. And I think you'll see that, number one, and then you'll see a lot of plays with his feet. But, and obviously he's a great leader. When you can sit there and do what he does, and, you know, he comes from a pretty good family, you know, and so I think he's going to be really, really good. He's super talented. The play he made on that the other day, he got smoked, but the play he made was pretty good the other day, and so I think he's going to be really good.
Coach, we appreciate you so much, man. Congratulations on everything you've accomplished. It's you know, the best to ever do it can be applied to very few people in life, but it currently applies to you. So congratulations, man.
Well, I appreciate you guys. The best, man. I'm very blessed, and you know, we're just trying to get another one and work hard as we can. And I love the game of football, and I love Texas. And
what? Hey, you're out of fingers. If you win one more, what do we do? Like, you put one on your ear or something? Like,
I'm not going. You know, break down and go with the times nowadays. I'm not going to the ears.
I thought he was. The last thing I would say is Scott Surratt with a toe ring. But it may come to that for you, Coach.
I hope so. I hope you're right. I hope I get to put one more on top. That's what we always say. You know, let's win one more. Anytime there's been 1, 2, and I always say this, and I know you guys got to go, but you know, I got so many great friends in Texas that great coaches and never played for one, never won one, and you know, and so I'm very fortunate, very blessed, and I got one of my friends that was their left tackle when I was a quarterback in high school, and he was my second guy that I asked to come with me at Texas High, and he didn't come, and I just hired him last year, and now he's got his first championship. So it's Craig Fant's his name, so it's very special.
Good stuff, Coach. Thank you so much, man. Thanks for spending some time. Good luck this season and this off season too. Spring ball.
Yes, sir. Appreciate y'all having me on. Y'all are the best. Go Horns, go Dogs.
We'll see you soon, Coach.
Welcome, Coach. There we go. Good stuff, Jerry. Thank you for asking him to come on.
Well, yeah, I mean, can you imagine having more state championships than playoff losses? That's like the wild thing to me, right? I mean, it's like 10 state championships and 8 playoff losses is just a crazy, crazy number. But I'll say this about Coach is, you know, look, he has a lot coming at him because of how much he's won and all the college coaches, everything that goes along with it. But he has always made time for the media. He is great to all of us. Yeah, we need to stop by the school. He always makes time. He always has. He's just class all the way, first class all the way. And that's the way he runs his program. That's the way he treats everybody. And it's much appreciated because he has a lot going on. There's a lot going on when you're at that level like he is.
You know, Bob Shipley is on with us every so often. He speaks of Coach Surratt in very reverential tones. Yeah. Like he's like, you never know what that dude's going to do on offense.
No.
It's what he said. So,
hey, look, one of the fun things about watching Coach in the playoffs is fourth down, man. He's dialing it up on fourth down, and he is not scared of the moment, and he succeeds in that moment very, very often. And his team plays with that confidence.
All right, guys. Well, we got a lot more to talk about this morning. But before we get into all of that, first, Bobby, I'm going to let you tell everyone out there about Babbel.
Yeah, absolutely. Time to talk about Babbel, the extremely popular language learning app. Be a better you in 2024 with Babbel, the science-backed language learning app that actually works. Don't pay hundreds of dollars for private tutors. No, don't need those. Or waste hours on apps that don't really help you speak the language. Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons each and every day are handcrafted by more than 200 language experts to help you start speaking a new language in as little as 3 weeks. More than 16 million people have already used Babbel. I've been using it to improve my Spanish. Let's get more of you talking in a new language. Babbel is gifting our listeners 60% off subscriptions at babbel.com/ontexas. Get up to 60% off at babbel.com/ontexas. Spelled BABBEL.com/ontexas. Babbel.com/ontexas. Rules and restrictions may apply. Thanks for your sponsorship of On Texas Football.
Well, last night the basketball team got their joy mode on, Jerry. So tell folks how they can get joy mode.
Oh, man, baby. Yep. Somebody listened to me and took the joy mode to Norman, didn't they? Say goodbye to weak erections with Joy Mode Sexual Performance Booster. This all-natural supplement is designed to enhance blood flow, giving you a firmer, more reliable erection. But Joy Mode isn't just about better sex. Daily use supports healthier blood vessels, boosts heart health, and enhances your athletic performance. This is so exciting. I'm going to throw the football 80 yards, dunk a basketball, hit the golf ball 350. This is awesome. Expertly formulated and backed by science, it's proven to improve erectile function by 50% in just 60 days. Simply mix with a pack of water and feel the effects within 45 minutes. Take control with Joy Mode. Get a boost anytime, anywhere, and never miss a beat. Joy Mode features 4 simple, proven ingredients. Unlike prescription options that involve doctor visits and managing refills, Joy Mode provides a straightforward, effective solution. Start a subscription and save up to 30%. Keep your performance at its best without any interruptions. That is Joy Mode. If you're looking to take your game to the next level, try joymode.com and use code ONTEXAS, all caps, at checkout for 20% off single purchases and 30% off subscription orders. And this is very simply put for Oklahoma fans. Y'all really need some Joy Mode right now. Football, basketball, need some help.
Well, we talked about Quinn Ewers departing, but the other news that came out yesterday, guys, DJ Campbell announces that he is going to stay. My question to you guys is, how big is that for Texas?
I think it's enormous because otherwise you'd be going with 5 new starters on the offensive line. Now, granted, Cole Hudson's expected to return or will return as well, but essentially that gives you not much experience in year 2 in the SEC with a quarterback that doesn't have much experience. Getting DJ Campbell back along with Cole Hudson, Trevor Gooseby has had some time now on the field, some real time. It gives you at least 3 guys that have seen, the real McCoy out there. You know what I mean? They're not, I don't want to say they're battle tested or anything like that, but that's kind of what it is. I mean, they've seen things happen. And so I think 3 of 5 like that have had a lot of time already playing is meaningful. DJ Campbell, I think, also could help be more of what Texas wants to be in the run game next year if they're going to start trying to run downhill a little bit more. We've talked about this. I think Cole Hudson's going to move to center this offseason. I really believe that. They worked him there some last spring. And he'll probably compete with whoever up-and-comer, whether it's Connor Robertson or Daniel Cruz, et cetera, at that position. But if you add those 2, those guys are more people movers than they are body shielders. And whereas Jake Majors and Hayden Connor were more that, out technique you kind of guys, Texas could maybe create more of a downhill running attack with that group now. I think that's going to be more of what they look at. So we'll see if that's the way it goes. But that's my thought process, and one of the reasons why I think DJ Campbell returning. Plus, I think he's going to be a 3rd-round draft pick at worst next year coming back. So it's just more talent. Obviously, by the way, Michael Taft announced his return 2 days ago. We're still waiting, and I've seen some people in the chat asking about it. We're still waiting on Trey Moore's decision. He has not announced it. On Tuesday afternoon, I was told that he was likely to return and had made the decision, but we haven't heard from him. And I checked in yesterday, and I had not heard anything new on that one. So there's a number of different guys and things going on right now that we just don't have the answer to. Trey Moore is one of those. But if he comes back, as well as DJ Campbell, Michael Taft, you're starting to see some guys return that have won a lot of football games. And winning is never a bad thing. Experience doing that because you know what it takes is very helpful, in my opinion.
And MP Houston, thank you for the super chat there. Hopefully, Bobby answered your question. Also, we have a super chat from Bradford. He says, I have a buddy who's a scout, and guys in his circle have a late first to early third. They also say that though you never know with quarterbacks in the draft, that Quinn could end up in the top 10 due to scarcity.
I think there's some varying opinions on that one from scouts. Not saying that one's wrong, but I was talked to a scout Monday, and he had third, fourth.
You're going to get all over the map. The great thing about quarterbacks, or any position really, or player, all it takes is one. All it takes is one. To like you, fall in love with you in the NFL draft. We'll see what it does. People are asking about a certain player possibly going in the portal. I don't want to mention existing players potentially toying with the portal or thinking about the portal. There's a reason I keep those names private because if they decide not to go in the portal, then they have to answer all the questions about what happened about going in the portal. And so my opinion there is until we get an answer on some of these guys, and there is more than one. I think there's only one starter right now, but there is more than one that is contemplating it. Until that's final, I'm not gonna push on that. So
and the reason part of the reason on that too is, look, there's, like it or not, there's negotiations ongoing. I mean, that's part of this as well. And there's guys that if somebody leaves, it may not have to do with not wanting to be at Texas necessarily. It may be where your worth is different. So, I mean, there's negotiations going on. By the way, Bobby, guys had to go into the portal by last night at 11:59, but there's a 48-hour window before it's made public on the portal website that the university where the player is at. There's a 48-hour window, kind of a negotiation period of sorts, to keep that guy from going public. So that's the way that works as far as the portal. So, Texas can see, they know the names on the back end, and the NCAA knows the names on the back end, but it doesn't go public for 48 hours.
And real quick, Lewis, we got your super chat, but nothing was attached to it unless I missed something, but I did look. So please send that in normal and I'll get that fixed for you as well. Football Junkie says Campbell will be one of the first or second Longhorns taken in the 2026 draft. Or I guess he's saying Will Campbell.
I don't think so.
Well, Anthony Hill. Who else is going to be ahead of him? If you think about it, who else will be ahead of him, Jerry? Anthony Hill.
Yeah.
Beyond that, Ethan Burke is in that. He'll get drafted, but you don't know where. Michael Taft, maybe.
See who else is added from the portal and how that affects things. So,
yes, that would be true. Portal would affect it. That's fair. That's fair.
Some people said Gooseby. I think Gooseby will start 2 years at Texas and then go. I don't think he's going to be on a 1-year path as a starter. I think there's a known about the continued strength gains for him and how important that will be for him. But we'll see. If he plays like a first rounder, he's got a first round grade. Every kid should go that has that.
All right, and one other super chat here before we move on from Juan Garza. Bobby, I guess this is a question for you. Is there ever going to be an app for On Texas Football?
Yeah, I mean, that's something we're looking into this spring. There actually is a level of an app right now in adjacent to the website, but it's not all encompassing, so I haven't really promoted it. But we're going to try to create one that includes the audio and video, as well as what we report in the message boards, et cetera. Hopefully that makes sense for everyone.
All right, thank you, Bobby. Okay, Jerry, coach is hitting the road this week, recruiting in full swing. What you got for us?
Yeah, so the Texas staff will hit the road starting today. They're going to start to see top prospects in 2026. And my must get in the state in 2026 is John Turntine. And he just released his more junior video, and hide your child on the first play, guys. Bobby, I want you to watch this. When's the last time we saw a guy this athletic? This athletic at offensive tackle in space, the mover. And everybody's like, well, how big is he? I'm like, don't worry about that. I mean, like, who cares if he's 270 right now? He's going to be 305, 310. He's going to be fine. Kelvin Beacham's 9 years in the NFL as a starter at 6'3", 303. It just – some levels it doesn't matter. This guy is so athletic and so physical and so smart. Top 10, not top 10%, top 10 in his class academically. I saw him last week when I was up in Dallas. But to the answer of the question to Blake, the Texas staff is on the road. They're going to be out and about throughout the rest of the month, starting today. I think you'll see Kenny Baker up to see Jamion Winfield at Richardson. I think you'll see Kyle Flood see all this top offensive line targets. Tashard Choice, which we'll have a little more on. They just welcomed the baby into the world, I think 24 hours ago. So I don't know. I doubt he's on the road this week, but next week he'll be in the Atlanta area. I talked to somebody in the Tyler Atkinson camp, and Coach Choice and defensive coaches are expected to see Tyler Atkinson next week. Choice is expected to see Amari Latimer. Texas is going to go see all these top guys, the Jalen Lotts, Caden Finleys, Javian Osborns of the world. We'll start to see those social media posts coming out when coaches stop at the schools and whatnot. But Bobby, this guy's an uber athlete at offensive line. I mean, the way he moves in space is just ridiculous. I think he's the best scheme fit at offensive line I've seen since Sark's been in Austin.
I want to see him have a little bit. I want to see the power on the down blocks and stuff like that, because you don't really see much of that here. But athletically, Jerry, you're right. You know what I mean? Like,
he's just.
I think that he can do the reach block stuff for outside zone. I think that the pass protection stuff's going to be natural for him. Really, really natural. He's going to have to get stronger. The one thing that people don't realize about Kelvin Banks, I think, and playing early at offensive line is very difficult, right? In the NFL or in the college football from high school to college. The thing that you have to have is some natural strength to you.
Yeah.
And so we'll see. But look at that. Look at him turn.
Hey, this guy's a true 5-star prospect. If anybody doesn't have him a 5-star, they're missing the boat. So just if you're looking at rankings and they don't have a 5-star, just chalk it up that they're wrong. I'm just here to tell you. This guy's a 5-star prospect. It's a no-brainer. And there's 3, like him, Jackson Cantwell, and Ian Acho out of Maryland. There's 3, I think, just no-brainer 5-star offensive linemen in this class in 2026. But, look, his dad was a tremendous defensive lineman at TCU. John is a 50-plus shot putter as a sophomore in high school. So he's asking, could he be a guard? I mean, look, in the NFL, who knows? At the college level, no, this guy's going to be an all-conference, maybe all-American tackle. He is going to be a tackle in college, and he is going to be a hell of a player.
Yeah, it's interesting, Jerry. We talk about quarterbacks being so important at Texas and how Texas transitions now from Quinn to Arch. What about the transition at tackle that Texas is now taking part in?
Yeah.
From Christian Jones to Cam Williams to Brandon Baker, from Kelvin Banks to Trevor Gooseby. Though left tackle, right tackle, those are 2 of the more important positions in football too. And so I think Texas is doing a really nice job, guys, of backfilling essentially a draftable NFL player. And so it's taking place all over the field. And that's why we sit here and we talk about it all day long, but Texas just has a lot of really good things going for them right now, in my opinion. Really, really good things.
Yeah, and so I think we know going into the spring, Trevor Gooseby is going to be to roll out with the ones at left tackle. That's a known. Then at right tackle, Brandon Baker's got a very bright future. I think one of the guys, I think there's a couple of guys that this young offensive line group that's had a couple of years to kind of bake, develop, whatever term you want to use. They all work. Is Andre Kojo. And I think this spring, where's Andre Kojo at? And the reason I say that is he enrolled at Texas as a midterm graduate as a 16-year, 11-month, and 28-day-old guy. He was extremely young, but he was extremely athletic, or he had good athleticism. They had to reshape his body, but he's just now 19 years old. Bobby, so like, where is he at 2 years developing in the program? That I think is going to be big because the depth at tackle, I think Trevor Gooseby, Brandon Baker, Kojo, Jaden Chapman. Where are those guys at that we haven't seen, but they have upside? As Seth said, today's Kojo's 19th birthday. There you go. So I mean, he's just 19. Like, most of these kids are 20, 21 by this time. So he's still a young guy physically in his maturity. So where are these guys at, like Jaden Chapman and Kojo, for the depth at tackle? Because they are good athletes. They have really good feet. They have a lot of upside where we just haven't seen them for 2 years. And now this spring, we're going to see more of them. Where are they going to be? That's going to be key for the depth at tackle, Bobby.
I agree with that. And it's like, when you talk about a young player like this with Andre Kojo, it's the same that was said about Quinn Ewers. I mean, CJ pointed this out, Jerry. Quinn Ewers will likely be the youngest quarterback in the NFL next year.
Yeah.
I mean, and you can kind of tell it physically. He's just now growing into his body. He's just now getting stronger, right? I mean, and so they have so much more growth ahead of them that it's hard to define where they're going to be in 2 years, much less, long term. And so let's see how he mixes it up this spring. I think that's important. I think it's going to be important for not just him. You mentioned Jaden Chapman, Nato Umeozulu, those guys. All of that's going to be important. Of course, that also says that they're all going to be back this spring. And we're sitting here waiting with incomplete information, right? I mean, I know Trevor Gooseby's back. I know Cole Hudson's back and DJ Campbell's back, but we don't know who all of that offensive line might be leaving at this point, because we're still in that 48-hour window. And yeah. I will say this, I have not heard of anything definitively at this point that any of those guys are leaving. So I don't want to caution anybody or anything, but it's something that we're looking at and waiting to see if anything occurs.
All right, before we move on, Bobby, will you let everyone know about Tecovas?
Yeah, this is one of my favorites. Anywhere worth going is worth going in good boots. I do it all the time. Born in Texas in 2015, Tecovas are handcrafted with every stitch on point. Tecovas boots are made for a good time and a long time. I love the fact that they're already broken in for comfort straight out of the box. And Tecovas makes it easy for anyone to find their favorite boot with all kinds of sizes, styles, extra wide, etc. Tecovas are simply the best boot around, and they have boots for all sorts of occasions. They have boots that can look like they could be your daily boots, or you can feel dressed up with them. Right now, get 10% off of Tecovas at tecovas.com/Texas football when you sign up for email and text. That's 10% off at tecovas.com/Texas football. Go over there and just take a look around. Love their website. With Tecovas Best in the West guarantee, you get free returns and exchanges for 30 days. The best boot out there. Tecovas.com tacovas.com/Texas football. See site for details. Tacovas, point your toes west.
And I'm also going to let everyone know about Mint Mobile. 2025 is here, and Mint Mobile has a resolution for you. Skip the gym, skip the fad diet, skip the BS resolutions that you're going to forget about by February. Instead, make a resolution to save some serious cash by making the switch to Mint Mobile. And right now, you can get half off of their 3-month unlimited plan. With Mint Mobile, you're going to save money. You're going to get great speeds. You're going to have phenomenal service. And when I say save money, here's how. Mint Mobile's dropping huge savings for the new year by offering any 3-month plan for only $15 a month, even their unlimited plan. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered to you on the nation's largest 5G network. You can even bring your current phone and your phone number. Switch to Mint, and new customers can get half off of an unlimited plan until February 2nd. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get that plan shipped to your door for free, just go to mintmobile.com/ontexas. Again, that's mintmobile.com/ontexas. A $45 upfront payment is required, which is equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigs on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details.
Can I bring this one up real quick, Blake? I saw this scroll through earlier. Do you think Texas will reach 14 draft picks this year? I think it's looking like 12 with possibility of 13. Kelvin Banks, Cam Williams, Quinn, Golden, Bond, Helm, Alfred Collins, Makuba, Barron, Blue, Barron, Surratt, Jake Majors. Then you have Vernon out there as well. I could see 15 NFL Combine invites. I think 12, 13 is probably the draft number.
I'm a little bit different. Like I think the guys that are I don't know. For example, I don't know if Vernon Broughton's going to get drafted.
Yeah, he was in my maybe list. I
don't know if Vernon Broughton will get drafted. Golden and Bond will get drafted. Ewers will get drafted. Jaden Blue, where does he get drafted? I think he's going to be a day 3 pick. Cam Williams will get drafted for sure. Andrew Makuba and Jade Barron will get drafted. Gunnar Helm will get drafted. So that leaves guys like Broughton, Surratt, Majors, and Connor. The 4 that I think somebody's got to see something in them. Of that group, I really think that Surratt will likely get drafted. But I could see all of them getting drafted or none of them. You know, it's the way it is. But we'll see how it goes. Long story short, it's going to be 2 years in a row where the Longhorns basically have an influx of NFL players influx of Texas players into the NFL. It's mind-boggling where this has come from previous years. 3 of those guys will be 1 year guys from the portal, by the way.
And we, I don't know if we have time to find the list. I'll look for it while Bobby's answering, Blake's answering questions. But I think we've had 5 guys that are going to be in the Senior Bowl already from Texas, and that number may be maybe up to 6 now. I'll have to check. But Alfred Collins and Vernon for sure are. I think Makuba's in the Senior Bowl, and somebody else. I need to check on that. But the Senior Bowl numbers are rising too, and that game is played, I believe, February 1st. So that's going to be a big week for all these guys that are down in Mobile.
A lot of people say Vernon Broughton's going to get drafted for sure. I just want to say this. I had one person told me maybe late, and one person told me undrafted free agent.
Yeah.
So, hey, he may end up going the 2nd round for all I know. I'm passing along information here. I'm not an NFL draft expert.
Here's your 5 that have accepted the Reese's Senior Bowl invites at this time. That's what they have on their website.
So these are big numbers. To Bobby's point, you never know how it's going to work out. Obviously, all 5 of these guys have draftable grades, else they wouldn't be invited to Senior Bowl. Some higher than others, right? I think on this list here, Alfred Collins has risen. He's going to be a second, third round guy in my estimation. Andrew Makuba's really helped himself. I think the Senior Bowl is going to be really big. And Helm is kind of solidified his spot. His is going to come down to testing. It's going to be really big for Surratt and Vernon down in Mobile with every NFL team represented. It's going to be big weeks for those guys down there, Bobby.
Yeah, it will be. And CJ is going to be there for us, by the way. He's going to that. So we'll have some access to those guys and hopefully watch them play a little bit there. Look, I think a minimum of 8 Longhorns get drafted. Minimum. Bare minimum.
Oh, yeah.
So after, what was it, 11 last year?
Yeah.
That's my take on it.
Yeah, I think mine is it'll be double digits for a second year in a row. Now, we'll see because guys have to test as well.
Yep.
All right. D Money Can't Get Money with the super chat says, I personally like Quinn being drafted in the 2nd to 4th round of the draft. Gives him the chance to get drafted by a good team and be developed.
Man, I agree with you. This is what I think he needs to go somewhere where he's not asked to do everything immediately. Now, it's typical that if you're drafted in the 2nd through 4th round, you're not going to be asked to come in and be the first day starter already. Now, that might be expected if you're a top 10 pick. But my opinion here is I want him to get into a situation where he can sit for a year or two and really develop physically and get going in that direction. And then he's already ready from a experience standpoint at a high level, having played in the SEC this year, Big 12, and played in some pretty big games. But you always want to see him keep adding on more from there. I look, go find a place like Jordan Love was for Aaron Rodgers for a couple of years. Get into a situation like that where you can apprentice and gain some weight and some more size to you so that you don't have to worry about injuries. Be healthy for a couple of years.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know what I mean? That's a big issue too. So I think that if he can do that, that would be best situation.
All right, guys, some more super chats here. And let's see. Darkborg, thank you for your super chat. Says, do y'all think we'll see a receiver as dominant as Roy was under Sark?
I think Sark would love to have a Roy Williams talent, but that it's just so rare. As dominant, Bobby, I don't know. I think in Sark's perfect world, he has 3 guys and a tight end, and he's not going to be as dependent on one guy.
I'm fine with that. I mean, I think Ryan Wingo is as talented as Texas has had in a long time, and I've been on record with that. He needs to work hard, though. I mean, he's still got a lot of work on him, work ahead of him. I hope, like heck, he and DeAndre Moore are basically spending the summer with Arch Manning, whether it's at a passing camp or in New Orleans or wherever they go work out in Austin. Because I will say this, that I think Sark's bigger piece is just having chemistry / rapport with his receivers and his quarterback. Because we talk about how is it going to be different. I'll tell you right now, Texas is going to throw more back shoulder throws with Arch Manning. And those are timing and understanding throws. And so that rapport is going to build, I think, just a lot of different pieces here from in my opinion, that Texas needs to be ready with. I do think that Ryan Wingo is extremely, extremely talented, though.
And then our next question here comes from Brendan. Brendan says, who's the best bet for Golden's replacement? Love the duo of Wingo and Moore. I think Wingo gets around 1,200 yards receiving. Tell me I'm wrong.
I can't tell you around 1,200. Right now, was it?
Question.
What do you think? Lockett, French, or Livingstone?
Lockett's a straight outside X for me. I actually believe Ryan Wingo is going to play more movable chessboard receiver piece this season than he did year one.
Well, yeah.
I think it could be Ryan Wingo because I think Lockett's an outside X. He's a back shoulder guy, great body control, really good timing, just to the ball well. Jamie French can play. Jamie French could do a lot of things that Matthew Golden did. He's going to be a freshman, but he can also play at outside X. That's where Texas has gotten bigger. They have more outside guys. Parker Livingstone is an X. They have more bigger frame guys. Now, I still think Texas is going to snag a wide receiver out of the portal, which may answer part of that question.
All right, we got a couple more super chats here. This first one from Jose. He says, what do you guys think the NIL looks like for a player such as Filthamy? 5-star but didn't play. Is NIL as competitive for those players as it was in high school?
Well, I don't ever think it ever goes in a direction where they're not like I have an idea of where it goes. So I think it's I don't think it's smart to put it out there for Texas. But the facts are Texas is competitive, highly competitive with other places around the country, the best places in the country. And so it doesn't go to zero. I'll just put it like that. That's not where it goes if you come in as a 5-star and Texas wants you to stay. So that's a big piece of it.
He's one. By the way, he's one of the guys that that secondary spring practice. I'm really looking forward to hearing about, seeing is Phil Sami, Jordan Johnson-Rebel, Santana Wilson off the red shirt. Some of those really young guys in the secondary. Kobe Black entering year 2. Seen a little bit more Kobe through injury this year of others, but these guys are. This is a big spring coming up for these young guys in the secondary, Bobby, because you have 4 early enrollees as well. Actually, 5 early enrollees, but Jonah Williams playing baseball, all secondary guys. You have Wardell Mack also in that class last year, but you have Caleb Chester, and you have Jonah who'll be sitting on meetings, Zealous Hicks, Grayson Littleton, right? All these guys, Cade Phillips, a lot of young talent that's about to be competing in the secondary. Second-year guys who have a year head start and a really good freshman class. And remember Caleb Chester, and I'm not saying he's going to go in and compete for a starting job, but I'll be shocked if that kid doesn't outplay his recruiting ranking at Texas long term.
All right, one other super chat here from Jason. Bobby, I'll let you address this one. Jason says, do you still expect the starter to go in? Don't have to name names.
I did as of yesterday morning. I don't have an expectation right now either way because I don't have an update. And I know how tenuous these things can be. So that's a fair question, Jason. The reality of it is I don't know the answer. I think that there are likely some things going on right now behind the scenes where player X may have entered, and there's a 48-hour window here. But I don't know for sure if the player that I was alluding to earlier this week is still going in. I do not know that. So I'm not going to sit here and act like I do. My thought process is things can change and change quickly, but I don't know if they've changed all the way yet. That would be my best way I can put it. I feel like you're probably 24 to 48 hours from knowing unless somebody puts something out this week or today.
Well, one thing we do know, Jerry, is that you can look good in Gooders. Tell us about it.
Well, I don't know about me, but you guys can. I'm not sure what I look good in, but you can look good in a pair of Gooders. Why Gooders? They're stylish sunnies starting at only $25 a pair. You know, you lose those things in the ocean, leave them at the hotel, whatever. They fall out of your truck bed because you forgot to put them back on your hat. No slip, no bounce, all polarized, all fun, 1-year warranty. I got to read it, 30-day free returns. You don't need that. They have 3 new high-performance styles. They're high-performance sunglasses designed to make you feel like the best athlete of all time. And if you're on this chat or hosting this show or talking about Texas football, you need to feel like the best athlete of all time. All 3 frames have UV 400 polarized lenses. Pro tip, guys, overpriced sunglasses don't make you run faster, but these do. Bolt G, Bug G, Astro G. The Bug G is my favorite. It's the aerodynamic wraparound shades for next level performance. These buzzworthy active shades have trendy oval-shaped lenses and compact with high-performance features. Aerodynamic dual lens frames. I need anything that makes me feel aerodynamic. If you want to support the show and try a pair, Gooder is giving On Texas Football all caps listeners free shipping. Go to gooder.com/OnTexas all caps and use that code On Texas all caps for free shipping. Gooder offers a 30-day money-back guarantee. They have to cover their bases. You don't need it. And 100% satisfaction guaranteed by this idiot right here. Again, that's gooder.com/OnTexas, all caps, for free shipping.
And then, Bobby, if you would be so kind to let everyone know about Austin Underground one last
Yeah, absolutely. I want to talk about Austin Underground and Texas Road, their sister companies. Rick Vavro and his team have been specializing in underground commercial installations as well as heavy road work for more than 2 decades now. The team's engineering background gives them the ability to perform work other firms often consider too risky. Rick and his team offer an end-to-end client experience, including seamless communication, budgeting, staffing, and top-notch trade partners. And most importantly, they produce solid quality work each and every time. That's Austin Underground, as well as its sister company, Texas Road.
All right, guys, a few things we still need to talk about before we get out of here today. We alluded to it at the beginning of the show, but Texas basketball with the big win in Norman yesterday. Jerry, your thoughts on that?
Well, they're defining – look, when you bring in a bunch of new guys in, that you have to define roles. Tremont Mark there, you see, hasn't really been healthy, starting to look better. He had the ankle early, the ankle before practices, then re-injured it before scrimmage. It hadn't really returned to form maybe, but starting to get back, I think, to some of that. But look, defining roles. The roles have now been defined on this team. Jordan Pope is now comfortable as a player. Jordan Pope can really score the basketball, guys. I mean, was he averaging 20 a game in the last few games? He can really score. He was 17 and a half in the Pac-12 last year for Oregon State. He can really shoot it, score it. But he was struggling with a role, defining a role on this team. Trey Johnson obviously continues to make big shots. I think Texas is moving the ball better, but Tremont Marks is making plays as much as he's scoring the ball. Caden Shedeker is a better player. He's really good in his role this year. Arthur Kaluma has bought into his role this year. So Texas has to win on offense with this team. And it really in this league, it's an offensive league. You have to play good defense. But the days of suffocating defense and playing games in the 50s are over in college basketball. You have occasional games in the 60s if Chris Beard can lock in on the game plan and get a team to shoot really poorly, or just Tennessee shot it poorly in Florida. There wasn't really Florida defensively. They just shot poorly. Those games are going to happen. But Texas going on the road and scoring 77 points on the road. That's what you're going to have to do in this league. You have to score 75 plus to have a chance to win these games. And Texas obviously had a 51-28 lead, 53-30. It got hairy. But these guys are finding their roles. Julian Larry off the bench. Jason Kent off the bench. Zarik Anyim, the small minute role player, off the bench. So now that they've started to find their roles and they're starting to play together within these roles and kind of felt this whole process out, felt each other out, this is a team that should be able to score enough points to give themselves a chance to win games. But, you got to do it consistently. You win at Oklahoma, 77-73, and you turn around, now you go to Florida, who's ranked in the top 10 in the country on Saturday. So this is a brutal 5-game stretch. It was a must-win. I thought Tennessee was a must-win. They lost. Oklahoma was a must-win. They won. If they had lost last night, I had a hard time seeing a path for them to get to the NCAA tournament with the schedule that's in front of them. That win, at least, because you're gonna in this league, everybody's like, can you go 500? I don't think you have to go 500 to make the tournament in this league, but can you get to 8-10? There's been a 7-11 team make the NCAA tournament before, West Virginia, when the Big 12 was just brutal a few years ago. 7-11 puts you on a real bubble or a play-in game. If you can get to 8-10, you make the tournament. But Texas is starting to find their roles. Jordan Pope is a much more comfortable player now. And so they have guards that can go get shots. Multiple guys. Kaluma can go create a shot. Sometimes it's not pretty, but he can go create a shot. They have more shot creators on this team in late shot clock situations and when games are tight. They have to be able to rebound it just well enough. But again, this is going to come down to scoring the basketball for this Texas team. They got to average 77, 80 points a game in SEC play, save maybe a couple of opponents, but that get into a slower game. But you have to be able to hit 77, 80 in this league to have a chance.
They got to the free throw line early in the second half. I really think that was the difference last night, Jerry, watching that game. I think they were in the bonus within at 9+ minutes left in the game. OU, look, it almost, and I just got to say this, it almost was an utter.
Oh
they played it a little close last night. At the same time, a win is a win. So good stuff for Rodney Terry in the game.
Well, guys, some congratulations are in order. Michael Huff in the 2025 College Football Hall of Fame class. Very cool deal right there.
The original number 7 out of Irving Nimitz, is that correct, Jerry? Back in the day, was really a two-sport athlete in high school, ran track, became more of a football player each and every year on the 40 acres. I remember talking to Dwayne Aquina, the former Texas defensive back coach, about Michael Huff. He called him Huffy, is what he called him. And he said that Michael, when he came in, was just all arms and length and could really, really run. And that of the people that kept learning more and more about the game each and every year, that's what Michael Huff did. And so I'm excited for Michael. He's still a part of the program, by the way, for those unaware. He works in the player development section of the staff, but he's around those guys. A good guy. Best of luck to him, and congratulations, College Football Hall of Fame class of 2025. Michael Strahan, also in the 2025 class, the Texas Southern defensive lineman that went on to play for the Giants, etc.
All right, y'all. One last super question. Super chat, excuse me, from Archmania. Thank you, Archmania. Who will be the highest draft pick from this year's recruiting class? He says that his money is on Lockett.
Yeah, look, I would start with the bigs in this class. I mean, your Justice Terry, Lance Jacksons, Myron Charles. I mean, there's some really talented bigs in this class that, if they maximize their ability, are going to be really, really high-end guys if they maximize their ability. Jamie French is an interesting one because he's so similar to A.D. Mitchell coming out of high school. And Khalil Lockett, he's got to get stronger and he's got to get faster. A great 50-50 ball winner, great timing. Jamie French really reminds me of A.D. Mitchell. What A.D. Mitchell, and he was ranked higher than A.D. Mitchell coming out of high school, Bobby, but A.D. Mitchell got faster while he gained 20, 22 pounds in college. Jamie French is going to gain 15 to 20 pounds in college. Does he get faster as well? If he does, then he's very similar to A.D. Mitchell. But, man, the bigs in this class it's one of those guys is going to turn out, really, really turn out, in my opinion. There's just too much talent with size in this class defensively.
Yeah, if you're asking me, Charles or Sharma.
Yeah.
Just putting it out there. If I had to guess. Because their position's still going to be a premium. The other guys, I mean, look, there's going to be, I don't know if Jamie French or Khalil Lockett are going to have the speed to be a top 10 pick.
Right.
That's the reality of it. Those guys are running sub 4.4s. We'll see if those guys run that eventually at Texas.
Yeah, and then you have, secondary guys. I mean, if a guy like Cade Phillips proves he can play corner, then he is going to be extremely high on NFL draft boards. If Jonah Williams can effectively pull off playing 2 sports in college at a high level, then he is a pretty rare talent. But he's got to pull that off. What he's trying to do, is that going to kind of slow his football development in some regard?
I'm interested to see because there's so many opportunities, so many different guys. That's what makes this the number 1 class, Jerry.
Yeah.
I mean, we're sitting here picking nits over who's going to be the highest ranked, and we just named 10 different dudes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's called first world problems.
We just talked about Michael Huff. When he came out, he was a talented track guy, but he wasn't seen as a guy. Okay, this guy's physically
a 3-star.
Yeah, physically a physical football player, and he developed into that. So, we shall see. This is extremely talented class. I mean, Elijah Barnes is extremely talented and versatile football player. What happens if Smith Orogbo he comes back off his knee and he gains 40 pounds with his first 2 steps? I mean, those guys, I think it's going to be your defensive front guys in this class, though. If I was forced to bet on it, I'll tell you, if you want a sleeper in this group, it's Nick Brooks.
Ah, interesting.
And one more that just came in. It's 4:20 somewhere. Good morning, OTF. Thank you for all your hard work with all the news and keeping integrity with what you release. Coming back may be bigger than any transfer or recruit we have coming in.
Look, I agree. I agree with a lot of that. I mean, I don't know about any transfer or recruit because the great thing about football is you need 22, man. We can talk about how big Arch Manning is or how big Michael Taft coming back is. One of the reasons I think football is the best sport there is because it can't be like, oh, I've got LeBron James on my team, so now all of a sudden I'm going to win the championship like it is in basketball with only 5 players. Football's 22. And so while I agree with Michael Taft coming back and the importance of that, I really think that I love the fact that there's all of these guys that are coming back potentially, as well as what they've got coming in. Specifically about Taft, though, the piece that I believe will be important is he can teach other younger guys. Texas now has, 10 defensive backs that are freshmen or sophomores, Jerry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They need some guidance. And I'm not talking about from Blake Gideon or Terry or a coach. They need some peer guidance. That's where Michael Taft can pay dividends 2 or 3-fold. If he teaches those guys, even partially, what it takes to work behind the scenes. And I'm not talking about practice work. I'm talking about taking video home and learning how to study an opponent, knowing what it takes in the off season to maximize. That's where his value to 420 somewhere's point is very true. That extra oomph that you need, because look, Cade Phillips, perfect example, has all the talent you could ask for, can run for days, long-limbed. If he doesn't study film well, is he ever going to be great? If he doesn't work hard in the offseason, is he ever going to be great? No, they need examples and not just coaches telling them what to do. They need to see other peers doing it and having success. And that's what Sark's built too, not just at safety, but offensive line's a great example with the success that Kelvin Banks and Cam Williams have had. It's a lot of different positions going in the right direction for the Longhorns.
I'll tell this story one more time, and it won't be the last time. But to that point is, I remember talking to Will Muschamp after he was gone from Texas, and I asked Muschamp about Earl Thomas because I went and watched Earl Thomas play in high school, and he played everywhere for West Orange Start because you have to at that level. He played running back, he played safety, he was a return guy. They put him at corner in certain games, certain situations. He played wildcat quarterback. He kind of had to do whatever it took to win a game, similar to Quandre Diggs. And But I asked Will, I was like, why? What makes Earl what he is outside of just the talent? And now that he's focused on one position, he said during his redshirt year, he watched more film than any other DB on the team. He was in the meeting room earlier, in the meeting rooms later during his redshirt year. And it goes back to what Scott Surratt said earlier in the show. The guys that have a vision for their future, that's having a vision for your future. And that's what Bobby's talking about. You got to have a vision. It's what coaches tell you every day gets old to hear, right? I mean, and that doesn't mean you don't respect it, but you need the other voices. But if you don't come with a vision, then you're already behind the 8 ball.
Good stuff.
Completely agree.
All right, Joel. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode of Coffee and Football, presented by Rick Vavro and Austin Underground. Want to thank them, along with Tecovas, Gooder, Joy Mode, Mint Mobile, and Babbel, all for sponsoring today's show. Bobby, what you got later?
We've got football theory coming up, Rod B, as well as Coach Shipley. We've got also we have the winning drive with CJ checking in and Coach Shipley. I'm sitting in for Rod Babers today. I will say this. I mean, what we're really thinking about outside of just the normal flow of news and whatnot is what's going on with the transfer portal. There's going to be news drop today, positive, and there could be news drop that's negative. I don't have all of the answers yet, but we're going to be finding some of that out as quickly as possible. I do think that Texas made a lot of ground up yesterday with a lot of players because what's happened is it's 80 days, or excuse me, it's 3 days of 80-person free agency. So while a lot of our attention has been on major players, whether it's a Ryan Wingo or a Colin Simmons or an Anthony Hill or whoever is returning or not returning or going into the portal, et cetera, there's 80 players on this roster, and it is annual free agency. So that's how many people and players Texas coaches and administration and staff were dealing with yesterday. There's going to be some movement. I don't know what the movement is yet. I don't know that some people even know yet because of that 48-hour window in addition to what we've discussed. But that's what we're going to be following as much or more than anything as it relates to the Horns, as well as Trey Moore's ultimate decision, which I still believe he's likely to stay at Texas, but have not heard that definitively.
And be sure to follow along, both right here on YouTube. You can hit the like and subscribe button, ring the bell so you don't miss any news anytime Bobby, Jerry post content, go live, whatever it may be. And head on over to ontexasfootball.com. If you're not a member, become one. Use promo code OTFOG. You'll get a full year for $49.95 using promo code OTFOG. So be sure to do both of those things, and that way you can stay up to date on all the latest news and notes from Bobby, Jerry, and the crew. All right, well, we will be back same time, same place tomorrow. So for Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton, I'm Blake Monroe, and we'll see you then.
Hook 'em. Have a good one, guys.